Well, hey everyone, I'm Robert, and you know what time it is.
WHCC's Burning Questions.
That's what I'm talking about. Today's burning question comes to us from Cheryl in South Carolina. And Cheryl says, "Hi Robert, I have burning questions about my press cards. What is press exactly, and why is file sizing so important when I set up my grad, wedding, and holiday cards in rows?" Rows, by the way, is another burning question, another bonus burning questions. It's just an acronym. It stands for Remote Order Entry System, and we just call it rows. Well, thanks for the question, Cheryl. Let's get to it. You know, recently, Christina made an awesome video out in the lab where she followed a few different card types as they made their way through that process. So if you haven't checked that out, go take a look. So to simplify it, press is a process that it's a transfer process of ink dots on paper to create text and image. You may have heard the 4-color process, or CMYK. That's cyan, not cayenne, that's a pepper. M is magenta, Y is yellow, K is black. So it's ink dots on paper creating our text and image. And it's ideal for a process where we're going to make several copies of the same thing over and over and over again. Newspapers were made by the press process. Newspapers, Google it. It'll blow your mind. News on paper. Now, with that process, that CMYK process, we still need RGB files to come to us for consistency. That CMYK transfer process, conversion process has to happen in-house. So ink dots on paper means that for a darker file, a darker image, that's going to be more ink on the page, right? So there's the potential, the possibility of having less detail. So in general, bright, balanced files are the best for press. Magazines also made by press, and our press cards. It gives us the ability to print on both sides, which we cannot do with the photo papers, right? So that's what we're dealing with here in our press process. That means also that since it's an additive process, white is not white ink. There is no white ink. It is the absence of ink, right? So that means that the paper type is going to influence what our final product looks like. So let's take bamboo, for example, an awesome renewable green resource that has a warmer white point. Our soft touch matte, which is like velvet, I want to sleep on it. That paper really accentuates the lush tones of a file, warmth and saturation. So if a file is leaning in a particular direction, if it's a little bit dark, it's going to go darker. If it's a little bit red, it's going to go redder. Okay? Does that make sense? So we have to keep those things in mind as we go through that process. Now, that also means ink dots on paper, that if we had printed a file on a greeting card and then print the same file on a photo, they can be close, but they cannot be exactly the same, right? They are apples and oranges. The photo process is a true C process, chemicals on paper exposed to light. So that's a different thing than this. Oh, hey, I just had an awesome idea just right now, spontaneously. I know what we should do. Let's go out in the lab and see if people can identify the different papers. Genius. How are we going to do that? I know. Let's go put some people on the spot.
Okay.
Is it photo or is it press?
Okay, I can't feel it. Okay, this is press. This is photo. This is press. It's obviously gonna have to be there. This one is press. This one's photo. Ooh, this one's hard. Oh, this one's hard. I can't touch it. There.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Ooh.
You want to make any changes?
No, I think I'm good. I don't want to.
Ta-da!
Was I right?
Perfection.
Ooh, ooh.
Photo. Oops. Look at that. All right. Photo. That would make this press. Okay, all done?
Yeah, I think.
This was perfect. Perfectly reversed. Dang! So this is Kelly.
Hi.
She is a press savant.
So I think we're gonna make this, is it photo or is it press game? We'll put a little twist on it. For you, I think we're gonna have you close your eyes and I'm just gonna hold one of them out for you and you say press or photo. You're gonna just feel it.
Okay, yep,
Yeah.
okay. That is press. That is press. That's a photo. That's a press. That's photo. That's press. That's a photo. That's photo.
Open your eyes. Perfection. That was beautiful.
Wasn't that so much fun? I got a huge kick out of that. Kelly was sick, wasn't she, with her, that's press, that's photo. I loved it. So, press and photo. Interesting, right? It is kind of hard to tell. You look here, probably you can't tell. This is press and this is photo. So again, those two processes are different, right? Ink dots on paper, if you were to get a magnifying glass and look at that, you would see the little tiny dots that make up both the text, right? It's pretty sharp, and the image. But the photo process, of course, is entirely different. That is going to give you just a little more definition. So we got to keep those things in mind as far as expectations go for you and for your clients. Now, let's get to Cheryl's second question. Why is file sizing so important when I'm setting up my files in rows? Here's why. Rows is a delivery system, right? It's just going to get the orders to us. It's not a layout. It's not a design software. It is just a delivery system, so it's expecting prepared files. Now, if you did go see Christina's awesome video of the cards going through press, you saw them come out on their big sheets of paper from which they are trimmed. So that means the bleed, which is another burning question. It's a bonus burning question. The bleed is just the part of the print that will be trimmed off to make sure there's no unexposed paper, right, in the final product. So that bleed has to be included in the file when it comes through rows. You can solve all of this by just ordering through our online drag and drop ordering tool at order.whcc.com. And that card editor is also built into Studio. Check out Studio. There's a super robust help section in customer service and also in the resources tab on the website. Go check those out. It'll change your life. So let's get back to these cards. File sizing. If it's a flat card, really easy. So we have approximately 1/8 of an inch that we're going to trim off the outside. So we're going to say approximate because there has to be some wiggle room, right, or tolerance so that the paper doesn't get stuck on the machine when it prints and when it trims. So there's going to be an approximate 1/8 of an inch trimmed off here, 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 and here. That means the file size has to be 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. So that makes it 5 1/4 inches wide, 7 1/4 inches tall. A little more complicated with folded cards, so you definitely want to use our free sizing templates, which are in the resources area on the website. Look for downloads. I don't even have that set up. It's easy to find. Look for resources and downloads, and then in the product sizing templates, you're just going to look for whatever product you need. Press printed cards and products are going to be the square corners. There will be separate categories to download the sizing templates for boutique cards, which have non-square corners, and then for the foil as well. So those will help you set these up to not make any mistakes as you set up your file. So we're going to take a look at what these look like in Photoshop. So I'm going to move over to my screen real quick here. And I have our 5x7 vertical opened up here. And this is going to be a PSD file that you're going to download from the website. It's going to show us everything that we need to know. First of all, if I go up to image and image size, it's going to confirm, here's my 5 1/4, 7 1/4, 300 pixels per inch. It's all sized and resed. We don't have to do anything else there. We can build right into it and just do a save as for each of your different designs. So let's look at these different areas here. The bleed here, so that gray area is the approximate area that's going to be trimmed off. Then we have that first solid line that is about where the trim is going to be. Inside that, we have a dashed line. That is the safe line, inside which you should keep all important information. Your file has to go all the way to the edge, but you want to keep text and things like that inside that dashed line. Now for these, you're going to want to have your guides or your guides and rulers turned on, and you'll see these aqua blue lines here. This inside solid line is where you want to put it if you're going to add a border. That will give us a final border of 1/4 of an inch. So each of these segments is about 1/8 of an inch. Okay, borders need to be 3/8 of an inch from the edge, and then all important content inside those dashed lines, but it goes all the way to the edge. Now, when you're done designing, if you see over here in the layers palette, these instruction layers are just here for our reference, but if we leave them in there, it'll be part of the file and it will print. We do not want that. So here where it says hide this layer, a bit of a clue, we're just going to shut off the eyeballs here for both of these, right? Then we're just going to go to layer, we're going to flatten image, save as a JPEG, off we go, it's ready to go. Then when we put that into rows, it's going to fit perfectly. So let's take a look at this in rows. Now that we're all ready to go, we have our file prepared. I've already navigated through the products, down to press cards and products, then to flat cards, then to 5x7. I am going to choose my vertical or horizontal. We've been working with a vertical card over here, so we'll keep that the same. As we look into rows, we see the setup is the same as the templates. Nice, right? So there's that outside part that's going to get trimmed off. And then here is the approximate trim line, here's the safe line, and here's the line if you are adding a border. It can be sometimes hard to see if your file is very dark or very light. So you need to pay attention to that when you're setting up the file in Photoshop. And you also need to keep in mind the trim, particularly in folded cards, if you're centering something. Where that's going to be, you're actually going to center. It's easy with this one, was straight across, but you're really going to center from where it trims, right? The crease in a card is going to make a difference on how you center on a folded card. So really, it's all the same here. One more thing I want to point out is quantity. This is a question we get all the time. Because those cards print out on the huge sheets of paper, they need to be ordered in packs of 25. We can't do a proof, we can't do a one-off. That's because they run on these big sheets of paper. So quantity is an issue. We cannot use this lower box here. The lower center box is for single items like I need 2 8x10 prints, right? But if we say 2 in press, in cards, that is 2 packs or 50, right? So over here in your products panel here, and keep in mind that depending on how your thing is set up here, your rows can hide that. You're going to see that. Sometimes you pull it up, you see the paper choice, but you don't know that there's a QTY box next to it. Sometimes you need to pull that out. QTY goes here. If I want 2 packs, I'm going to put the 2 here. Okay, and actually we'll just do this real quick to see what happens. It's going to be next to our paper choice, right? And if I roll down here, here's where I'm going to choose my envelopes. Here's where I'm going to choose printing. If I want return address printing on here, I'm going to choose then my fonts, and then the colors, and then the designs. These are all gray because I did not check that. Okay, so let's just for fun, I'm just going to pull up a couple of things, but these were sized perfectly beforehand. But just so we can do this, I'm going to add to order, and I want to show you what this looks like when I change that. So when I go into checkout, it's still going to say quantity 1 because I'm having this one product here. But over here in applied options, you see it says 2. It has changed the price here. It will update that for you. The cards discount the higher you go. So if I get to 3 packs and above, Rose will automatically adjust that for you. Okay, so that's it. That's how you set those up. And that's pressed in a nutshell. Cheryl, thanks for the question. Remember, guys, if you have questions, absolutely let us know, and we will do our best to fire up a video and answer those questions. Again, my name is Robert. Thanks for joining us today. And for all of us at White House Custom Color, remember 2 things. 1, we are all here for you, and 2, the sun always rises. Isn't that awesome? Take care. We'll see you next time.
WHCC's Burning Questions.